Hi, everybody, and welcome back. This one's about over, and that's always a good thing when you're referring to Mondays. This one on the 19th of August. And weather-wise, just a glimpse ahead. Well, that's more like it. Doesn't mean you necessarily have to like it or will, but summer weather is making a return. Humidity levels have already started to increase. Temperatures are going to follow suit throughout the week. Showers and thunderstorms for the first half, at least a chance thereof. And then some nice, calm, sunny, albeit summer-like weather for the end of your week and your weekend. I'll update your forecast in more detail. Community Day went off without a bang over the weekend. We're not getting to that tonight. I've got a whole lot of interviews and entertainment and fun things to show you. City Council meets tonight. Goffin County Fiscal Court meets this week, a full week ahead already, and then some. But tonight we'll talk about retired Marine Corps Sergeant Chuck Lewis as he treks his way across this country of ours. I'll let him tell you why and what's motivated him as he stopped over in Sagersville last night and then made it on his way out early this morning, actually a little later on in the afternoon, and on his way to Washington, D.C. We'll spend some time with him. Time well spent this evening. Be sure to stay tuned for that. All that and much more in just a few moments. Only a couple of reports from elsewhere. And turning to our neighbors in Breathitt County first, police there are investigating the murder of 46-year-old Tom Lee Smith after a friend found him slumped over in a chair of his mobile home before noon on Saturday. An apparent murder victim. He died from at least one gunshot wound. Details about the death are still limited. The murder weapon we know was not found at the scene. At last report, police did not have any suspects. Mr. Smith's body was taken to Frankfort for an autopsy, and it is still under investigation, as you can well imagine. A Johnson County woman, meanwhile, was arrested and charged over the weekend for DUI, aggravated circumstances, after her vehicle crossed the center line in Johnson County over the weekend and tragically claimed the life of a very young 18-year-old man. 53-year-old Myra Castle of Whittensville in Johnson County has been charged thus far with aggravated DUI in connection to the head-on collision that killed the 18-year-old Friday night on 201 in the Sitka community. It all happened around 8:30. We understand that Castle has been released from jail after being lodged in the Big Sandy Regional Detention Center on a $50,000 cash or property bond. She has been ordered held on home confinement until she is in court on September the 4th. She was arraigned in Johnson County Court earlier this morning and made bond later on in the afternoon. Meanwhile, Sheriff Dwayne Price has confirmed to us that the 18-year-old who passed away as a result of the collision has been identified as C.J. Mollett of Flat Gap. He was struck on his motorcycle while traveling on 201 Friday evening, and he was pronounced dead at the scene. Police investigating the collision, including the Kentucky State Police as well as the Johnson County Sheriff's Department, says they initially believed that alcohol was a contributing factor to the accident. They also have records stating that Castle informed troopers at the hospital following the crash and during their investigation that she had been drinking vodka earlier in the day. As for the 18-year-old, his services are set for Wednesday. He was said to be a teenager out of school and an employee of Booth Energy. Castle's car was traveling south. She crossed the center line and into the northbound lane when she struck Mollett's motorcycle head-on 201. I'll be right back with local headlines in just a moment. Faster, friendlier, family-owned Parkway Pharmacy, open 8:30 till 6:30 Monday through Friday in the new McGoffin Medical Plaza under the care of local pharmacist Jesse Rudd. To make Parkway Pharmacy your pharmacy, come by or give us a call at 349-4400.
Hi, I'm Don McFarland. I want to be your family lawyer. If you've been injured on the job, if you're interested in getting your Social Security disability or SSI benefits, or if you've been injured because of someone else's negligence, or basically, if a car wreck has caused you to suffer pain, then pick up the phone and call Donald Wayne, 349-9000.
It's the summer that keeps on giving at Dairy Queen. From the incredible new S'mores Blizzard Shake and Moulatte treats, the new Lemon Meringue, all of which you can still get, to the new Triple Berry Brownie Blizzard, which is not what you're thinking unless you're thinking of the unmistakable taste of chocolate, brownies, and decadent flavor of strawberry, raspberry, and blackberries all mixed in our creamy vanilla soft serve, all of which are perfect next to any of our big grill burgers. And don't forget, we've still got the $5 lunch at your Sayersville DQ.
At the end of every race, Mark Martin hangs up his driving gloves. He hangs up his fire suit. And he hangs up his helmet. Which is why he picks up his phone and opens the ER Extra app. The app shows ER Extra wait times, locations, and more. It's the one safeguard Mark Martin is never without. ER Extra at Paul B. Hall Regional Medical Center. Extra fast, extra easy, extra great.
Sagersville Nursing and Rehabilitation Center is proud to announce the newest members of our family, Administrator Lane Jones and our full-time chaplain Mark Campbell and volunteer Richard Green, new faces with the same sincere desire as these, to assist you and your family with short-term rehabilitation solutions or long-term nursing care needs, close to home and those that you love. Sagersville Nursing and Rehabilitation.
Like I said earlier, we've already got a full week ahead. Community Day, a whole lot of fun things to show you there. City Council, Fiscal Court coverage, school board meeting probably later on in the week, and a whole lot of other news that we've got to get caught up on. So we'll get to all of that as time allows. We have our top story coming up in just a few moments, some time well spent with retired Marine Corps Sergeant Chuck Lewis. But first, we better get to tonight's McGoffin County Farm Bureau sponsored community calendar.
One special announcement before we go any further. A special happy anniversary, I'm told. Belated anniversary. May have been Friday for Bonnie and Jerry. I believe it's Brown. With a whole lot of love from a whole lot of family and friends. Happy anniversary to you, Bonnie and Jerry. And a lot of other ground to cover on the calendar tonight. First off, meetings all week long. The Sagersville City Council meets in regular session. That meeting set for tonight at 7. We've got a rather significant or lengthy agenda in front of me. I'll have a camera there, a report coming later. The McGoffin County Fiscal Court meets in regular session tomorrow morning at 8:30 in the McGoffin County Courthouse. Also, I don't have it typed in, but the McGoffin County School Board meets Thursday of this week. And another camera will be there, and another subsequent report to follow. If you would like to find out more from the Big Sandy Area Development District about becoming a district long-term care ombudsman or an ombudsman for the Big Sandy area, volunteers are always needed, and you can find out more by making the phone call to the links or numbers at the bottom of your screen, 886-2374. There's a toll-free number, 800-737-2723. You can contact Jill DeLong at jill.delong@bigsandy.org to find out more. South McGoffin says they've got a site-based regular session meeting set for tomorrow, 6 p.m. Everyone's welcome to attend. Don't forget the Substance Abuse Free Environment Meeting, SAFE for short, has their monthly meeting this Wednesday at noon at the McGoffin County Health Department. McGoffin County Head Start wants to remind everyone that classes for our Head Start students starts Wednesday. Open house is tomorrow from 3 to 5, and that the North McGoffin is now the North Central Head Start program, and North McGoffin Head Start has been moved to the location, of course, behind the McGoffin County Board of Education. Open house tomorrow, 3 to 5. A reminder that Mash Fork is going to be closed, specifically at mile point 1.9 this Wednesday. There is no marked detour. Drivers can use either 40 or 460 to get their way, find their way home or get their way home, however you so desire. And also they will be, of course, starting work that needs to be done after the buses run in the morning. And in the afternoon they'll have arrangements for buses to get through. But throughout the day and until the work is done, all other through traffic will not be allowed to pass. That is Mash Fork. A benefit to be held for Mason Gamble. He fell and was injured seriously while working on the Bloomington Mountaineer Volunteer Fire Department and incurred some rather significant and outstanding medical bills. And as a result, the fire department is putting together a benefit in his honor. If you would like to make donations or support their cause, give them a call at 349-5493 or 349-4457. That's it for calendar announcements this evening. I've got several more already racking up for later on in the week. If you've got one, here's how you get it to us. For now, here's tonight's funeral service announcements. These announcements brought to you, as always, on behalf of our friends at the McGoffin County Funeral Home, who tells me tonight that arrangements are being set in honor of 73-year-old Zelma Ward Jenkins of Sagersville, who passed away on today's date at the Highlands Regional Medical Center, the wife of J.D. Jenkins. The McGoffin County Funeral Home has notified me that arrangements are incomplete at this hour, but to be announced soon by their facility, and we'll have them as soon as they are made. Also, and in loving memory tonight, in honor of Roscoe Salyer, who passed away 16 years ago. Greatly loved and missed by Christine, Lauren, and granddaughters. Roscoe Salyer. We'll be right back. Check out our daily specials that get even better after 4 o'clock and only at your Sagersville Lee's Famous Recipe. On Mondays, get our famous footlong with our homemade chili. It's just $2.49. And after 4 o'clock, it's only $1.99. A deal as great as the taste. And only at your Sagersville Lee's Famous Recipe.
At work, there's nothing better than having your Appalachian wireless smartphone with you. But you can't work all the time, and there are some places smartphones just weren't meant to go. So get yourself a second phone for when you want to play a little rough. The Sonim XP3400 is the toughest phone you can find. Rock solid performance, a Gorilla Glass screen, GPS, it even goes underwater. Best of all, you can add a Sonim for as low as $15 a month. Better service, bigger savings. That's today's Appalachian Wireless.
There may never be a better time to buy because the summer sales event rolls on at Conley's, Kawasaki, and Polaris of Paintsville. Interest rates on new Polaris as low as 2.99% and rebates up to $1,000 and 0% financing on select new Kawasaki's and all the accessories to go with them at Conley's, Kawasaki, and Polaris of Paintsville, the place to ride. Come in and explore all the summer fashions and styles at Fraser's Prater Drug Seasonal Shop in downtown Sagersville, where now you can come in and order from our acrylic cutout, monogram, and nameplate collection in cool acrylic colors or in sterling silver or gold or rose gold for meal. Now especially at Fraser's Prater Drug Seasonal Shop in Sagersville. Regardless of the project, big or small, inside or out, Bailey's Carpet has your next job covered with service after the sale on Husqvarna and Red Max power tools and equipment. You covered with great deals on boots and clothing by Georgia, Red Wing, and Carhartt, and your floors covered with premium materials at low prices from Bruce, Armstrong, and more at Bailey's Carpet and Hardware in Sagersville.
It's an emergency excess sell-off at Hunt Chevrolet in Paintsville, Kentucky.
I've marked every vehicle up to $12,000 off, just like this 2013 GMC Yukon was $50,000, now $37,950. Or this 2013 Chevy Silverado was $40,000, now $27,980. An all sales decision within 15 minutes or less, or we'll give you the vehicle.
It's an emergency excess sell-off. Isn't it time to buy Hutch?
You know, this November will mark 15 years that I've been here behind this desk. Thank you all so very much, and I'm sure another thank you will come when we get a little bit closer to that. Over the course of that time, though, I've had the opportunity to do a great many interviews, and specifically talking about individuals making their way across this nation for their various causes. This, I think, if I can recall, makes either the 5th and maybe 6th time I've interviewed someone in that respect, either walking, cycling, horseback riding across this nation of ours to raise interest and efforts towards their cause. And there have been a great many wonderful causes. Well, tonight we'll follow suit along with that, and we'll hear in great detail what has inspired retired United States Marine Corps Sergeant Chuck Lewis to do so. It actually goes back to his career in the military. He served from 70 to 74 in the Marine Corps. Went through electronics schooling, helicopter training on CH-63s, did a 6-month tour in Vietnam. Many of his comrades didn't return home. He did get out of the Corps in 74. He later got an engineering degree. He was employed by the Department of Defense for some 27 years. He was an educator throughout his professional career as well. He also joined the Navy Reserve from 80 to 88. He retired 11 years ago at the age of 51 and then began looking for something to do. Well, he's found something. Standing for the Fallen began about, 5 years or so ago. It has now evolved into Walking for the Fallen, and that Walking for the Fallen trek across our country led him to Sagersville last night.
He's walking all right. He's 62 years of age. He retired from Montana, where he lives. He then went to Washington State on the other coast, way over there, and started walking 2,500 miles and counting, pushing along his 150-pound cart with his supplies on his way to Washington, D.C.
One Christmas was such that my wife and I were sitting there, and we have 6 children, and none of them were going to be able to come home for Christmas. And so I remembered what it was like being away on the holidays when I was overseas. So I told Linda that, I'm going to put my uniform on, go out and stand on a street corner, and and just remind folks that not everybody's home this morning. And so I put up a little sign that said, standing here today in respect of those away. And I stood there all day, got picked up by the local news media, newspapers, television, and then people started inviting me to stand at their events. I stood at gun shows, I stood at street festivals and trade fairs, and I was constantly adding to my display of things in the background, like flags, and then I built a battle cross. It's kind of the iconic figure of the fallen soldier, and it's a boots, rifle, and helmet. I used full-scale items that were real and built one and took it with me. And when that happened, then people started giving me money. They started donating money to whatever cause it was I had.
And he says that went on for a few years until about a year ago, when a young Marine in Montana came home after 4 years in the Corps and a tour in Afghanistan, and no one except his immediate family knew or recognized he was back home for a month, until an honor guard was called for the young Marine's funeral after he took his own life, leaving behind his wife and small child. And this concerned Lewis, and then he discovered that since 2005, we've lost more, or at least as many, active duty soldiers, over 6,000, to suicide as we have in combat over the last 8 years. And when it came to asking himself how could he make a difference, he says, well, there was just only one answer he could think of, and that's walking for the fallen.
Well, I guess I don't think of myself as a great speaker. I'm not a motivational speaker. People aren't going to stand on a street corner and listen to me as I stand on my soapbox. So for me, I always tried to lead by example. And so pushing my cart with the flags and being out there in the public eye has been the way I tend to get attention. I want people to see me out there. They want them to know that I'm serious about what I'm doing. I mean, I've already got logged in over 2,500 miles, and not bad for an old guy. So I've had people say, well, aren't you kind of old to be doing this? Are you healthy enough to be doing this? 6 months is a long time to be out there on the road. But I am 62 years old, but I'm not getting any younger. And chances are I'm probably not getting any healthier. And so for me to be out there on the road for 6 months is no big deal, because I look at it as a drop in the bucket. I mean, during Vietnam, I lost friends there. They didn't have the last 40 years that I had. I mean, I've had a chance to have a career, education, and a family. They didn't get that chance. And so 6 months versus 40 years, no big deal. It's a drop in the bucket compared to what they gave up of their life.
And when it came to mapping out a route, Washington State to Washington, D.C. and through Sagersville, he says it was an obvious choice.
The route became such that I decided I wanted to go to the Vietnam Memorial. That was the first goal I had. I had never seen the real memorial. I'd seen traveling walls, and I learned a lot from the traveling walls that I didn't know about what happened in Vietnam. But so I wanted to see the real wall. So that was kind of the first goal I had. I wanted to start on the West Coast and end up on the East Coast. But another factor for those that look at the website would see that I dipped down into North Carolina, and people would ask, well, why didn't you just cut straight across? It would have been shorter, and it would have been. But I had a Marine that I served with for 3 years, and last September his doctor gave him a year to live. He has cancer, and so I told him I would be in his house by next September. And so I'm heading to his house to see him. He lives just outside Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. And I'm heading to his house first, and then from there it's just a 2-week walk up to D.C. So it's like no big deal.
No big deal, he says. While military suicide rates are a driving force behind his efforts, he says there are other things, troubling things, that have inspired him to make the trek across our nation.
I guess maybe I should summarize why I'm out here. And of course, one of the first reasons is suicide. Maybe I could, if I can save one life, I think the walk is worth it. But part of it has to do with patriotism. One of the things that I try to do is go around and give presentations on our flag, on our veterans, on honor guards, on our country. And I find that there are some schools in our country that won't allow me into their schools to talk about this subject. There's been other veterans that have been censored by the administration of the school. One of them was in our hometown school. Marine last May was invited by the senior class 2 weeks before school let out, and an hour before his presentation, the principal told him he couldn't talk to the kids. And so, you know, we're seeing more and more of that within our school system. Illinois has a program where they won't use their national anthem anymore because they feel the words are too volatile. There are schools in California that would rather honor Cinco de Mayo, which is the Mexican Independence Day. And if any kids come to school with an American flag on their shirt, they'll ask them to turn them inside out or send them home. And so you're seeing more and more of this in the school system. In Montana, the Pledge of Allegiance is only required up through 6th grade, and after that it's not required anymore. So I think in the educational system and from a patriotic point of view, we're losing it at the younger levels. And I think that's one area that I really enjoy is when parents will bring their kids out to meet me on the road and get a chance to talk to the kids.
And while Kentucky has had its share of attacks on prayer and the Ten Commandments and other foundations of this country, Lewis was pleased to hear of the Veterans Day ceremonies and prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance being active parts of our local government and schools. For example, Cindy Collins' 5th grade North McGoffin Elementary class today that he visited. But I have to tell you, I was set back to hear of the various schools, churches, and other organizations who've turned a deaf ear on this veteran along his way across our nation.
I've encountered along the way, I guess one of the things I can say is that I've either been embraced or I've been ignored. There's been no negative to the walk. The embracing, I guess in a lot of ways you can tell, but from the news media is probably the most obvious to me because some of them will jump on board and come out and videotape television stations or newspapers and cover it, and others you contact the newspapers and they won't take the time to come out and see you. Where's their trust? In the case of the young Marine that came home to us a year ago, he came home, nobody knew he was there and until they called for an honor guard to bury him. And that was the first time anybody knew he was home except for his family, immediate family, but the community didn't know he was home. So what did he have to trust in? Many times, it's like when I'm walking out here on the highway, people are passing me at 50, 60, 70 miles an hour. How many of them actually see me out there and know what I'm up to? You know, or do they see me as just a old homeless guy pushing a shopping cart? You know, so where's the element of trust? And then you got to bring God into the equation, at least as far as I'm concerned. And God is a key factor. Our country was formed on Christianity, and you look at it from that standpoint, and God has to be part of the equation here. Yet our government, whether it be local, state, or national, they want to take God out of the equation, mostly I think for political correctness. But they don't want the 10 Commandments in our courtrooms. They don't want in God we trust on our money. Well, I think they're on the wrong track. You know, that's my take on it. On my cart, I carry many flags. I carry our service flags from each branch of our service, our POW, MIA flag. I carry, of course, our country's colors, and I carry a Christian flag. To me, God is part of the question. He has to be part of the question. He's the one that's going to bring hope into the situation where these young men and women can go back and lead a normal lifestyle after serving their country and seeing what they've seen, doing what they've done. So many times in the news media today, we hear about the 1% of this group or the 99% of that group, you know. Well, in my opinion, there's a true 1% of this country that care enough about it to put their life on the line. We took an oath in the military to defend this country against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That oath we took had no expiration date, even though we are no longer active duty, that we're still bound by that oath. And so I look at it from that point of view. And even 40 years later, it's still an honor to serve our country. I guess what I'd like to say is that when you look at that 1% of the country that are willing to defend this country, I'd like to say thank you to not only our military, but our fire departments and our police departments. Those three entities in themselves are the ones that will put their life on the line for this country. And to me, they're the real heroes of this country. They're the warriors of this country. And I thank you all for your service. It's an honor. Every time I get the chance to meet one of you out on the road, it's an honor to meet you all. So I guess in a sense, in what we would use as Marine Corps lingo, I would like to say Semper Fi, which is always faithful, and hoorah.
You want to track Mr. Lewis as he's making his way across this nation? You can. You can find him on Facebook at Walking for the Fallen USA, and you can go to walkingforthefallen.com. He's got a little sensor GPS unit attached to his cart, uploads every 10 minutes. We'll be tracking him on his way across our nation as he makes his way to D.C. We hope you will too.
A few other significant facts about Sergeant Lewis's trek across our nation. The money that he collects, he doesn't ask for donations, but gladly accepts them. And then after his trip is over, through the 15 states that he's going to be walking through, he's going to go back and redistribute those monies in the respective states they were donated from to the various organizations that he can find that will most well suit or benefit wounded veterans. He doesn't accept donations for walking around money or things of that nature. A meal, a place to stay, he will gladly accept, but as far as his trip expenses, that's all on him. And that's just the way he sees it, as it should be done. $30,000 so far. He has a goal of $50,000. You can go to his website, as I mentioned, and make donations. And once again, he doesn't ask that you do, but if you would like to be so gracious as to, they'll be graciously accepted and put to very good use as he continues his trek across our nation. And of course, you can go and watch him through Spot and see where he is. And we'll be checking in with Chuck probably on a daily basis around here at the newsroom, and we wished him well. Two other things I want to make note of. He made mention of his stay here and trip through Sagersville and McGoffin County. Two things of noteworthiness there. One, that out of all his walking, 2,500 miles and counting, the most scared he's ever been was crossing the Ivy Point Hill in Sagersville. He said that was the fastest that he'd seen cars travel on a road of that nature, and he got really scared at one point. And of course, there's just nowhere to walk either. That was something I wanted to make mention of. But more importantly, he says that throughout his entire trip and adventure and excursion, he's never been treated with the hospitality that he received here in Sagersville, McGoffin County from our Disabled American Veterans, Chapter 15, Henry Joseph, and all those guys, and some other folks who treated him just as we should while he was here in our area. He and his wife plan on making the trip through. They're not walking, but driving through. She wants to see where he has been and go back and meet some of the folks that he has met. We extended our invitation to them. We hope to see him then.
Now, a couple of things. He's not walking back. Someone's already offered a plane ticket for him to make his way back home. He's meeting his wife in D.C. And I probably overstated myself when I said he was scared on the Ivy Point Hill. I don't think anything really scares Sergeant Chuck Lewis, but he did say that was one of the hairiest points of his trip as far as traveling is concerned. That's my time. That's not the last we'll have on Sergeant Lewis. Real quickly, your Licking Valley RECC forecast has some patchy fog tonight, otherwise just mostly cloudy, partly cloudy. Get ahead of myself. And a low of 63. We do have another chance of some isolated showers tomorrow, but it's very slight. I think we're just going to see gradually becoming mostly sunny skies following some clouds in the morning. Your Tuesday looks pretty good with a high of 82. Wednesday, not so much. That's when we've got a really good shot of some showers and thunderstorms that will carry on into your Thursday. After that, it's clear sailing and summer-like temperatures for the rest of your work week and your weekend. But for now, that's my time. Thank you to Sergeant Lewis for being a part of the program and for you as well. Good night. We'll see you tomorrow.